The senator from Wisconsin, Minnesota, I'm sorry.
It's okay. This senator from Louisiana has been here just a little while and been presiding just a little while. It's quite all right. Mr. President, I rise today to talk about the historic vote the FCC took today to preserve net neutrality and maintain a free and open internet. But before I turn to that exciting news, I want to take just a moment to talk about the urgent need to pass funding for the Department of Homeland Security. Republican leadership has wasted a lot of time over the past month politicizing this issue, and now we find ourselves on the brink of a completely preventable shutdown of DHS. I think every American agrees that funding for Homeland Security is too important to play politics with. Last year, Democrats and Republicans came together and passed a clean bill to fund the department for a full year, and we should do the same this year. I'm pleased that Senate Republicans have agreed to take up a clean funding bill, and I hope that House Republicans will quickly do the same. Now, turning to today's good news. I'm thrilled to report that this morning, the Federal Communications Commission voted to adopt new rules to preserve a free and open internet. This is a big win for the 280 million Americans who use the internet. I want to congratulate FCC Chairman Tom Wheeler and thank him for his leadership on net neutrality. The FCC has taken a crucial step to ensure that the internet remains the platform for free expression, innovation, investment, and economic growth that it has always been. The new rules will offer meaningful protections for all internet users. They promise to preserve the internet's status as an open marketplace, a place where everyone can participate on equal footing, free from discrimination by broadband providers, the companies like Comcast and Verizon and AT&T that provide consumers with access to the internet. And that is what net neutrality is all about. Net neutrality isn't some radical new idea. It's the simple and long-standing principle that all lawful content on the internet should receive equal treatment from broadband internet service providers, regardless of who owns the content or how much money he or she has in the bank. It means that broadband providers can't pick and choose which internet traffic reaches consumers and which doesn't, and this idea has been part of the architecture of the internet from its very start. Because of net neutrality, an email from my constituent in rural Minnesota reaches me as quickly as an email from my bank. Because of net neutrality, the website for my local pizzeria loads as quickly as the website for a national chain. Because of net neutrality, I can stream videos of my amazingly cute grandson just as easily as I can stream a hit TV show, and he is amazingly cute. And it is because of net neutrality that companies like Amazon, Facebook, and YouTube are household names. Once startups, these are now billion-dollar companies employing thousands. Net neutrality gave them the chance to compete on a level playing field. Their success is a testament to both American innovation and the power of a free and open internet. For me, the bottom line is this. The internet is a vital part of our daily lives, and net neutrality is at the core of how the internet operates. It is critical to our democracy and to our economy that it continue to operate in this manner. All of the amazing innovation and growth on the internet didn't just happen while we had net neutrality, it happened because of net neutrality. Now, this isn't the first time the FCC has sought to protect net neutrality. Twice before, they tried to implement rules which were then challenged by the big broadband providers and basically struck down by the D.C. Circuit. It wasn't that the court thought that the rules were bad policy, rather that the FCC hadn't invoked the proper legal bases. Since the second court decision last year, we've seen a lot of debate about what the FCC should do. Many of us have called for strong rules, and we have argued that those rules must be grounded in the FCC's authority under Title II of the Communications Act if they're going to survive judicial scrutiny and withstand the test of time. Of course, the big broadband providers pushed for the FCC to move in the opposite direction, to take a weaker approach. Why? Well, without net neutrality, they stood to make a ton of extra money. These guys wanted the FCC to allow them to charge websites access to fast lanes to reach consumers. Then only those sites that could afford to pay would see their content delivered at the fastest speeds. Everyone else would be relegated to a slow lane. Only those with very deep pockets would be able to afford to pay for the fast lanes, and the broadband providers would have profited at the expense of everybody else. I fiercely oppose this. Millions and millions of my fellow Americans did too. Consumers and business owners spoke out and urged the FCC to adopt rules that would protect, not destroy, net neutrality. They made the case for net neutrality in clear and compelling terms, arguing that strong rules are essential for the future of the internet. With today's vote, the FCC has provided those much-needed rules. The new rules are strong, they're clear, and enforceable. They will prevent broadband providers from blocking or throttling lawful online content. The rules will stop providers from charging websites for access to fast lanes. And importantly, the FCC is implementing these rules within a time-tested legal framework that will allow the agency to respond to challenges to net neutrality that arise in the future. Following the common sense path that I and a number of my colleagues have long urged, the FCC has recognized that broadband internet access is a Title II service. It's a telecommunications service. Last spring, I could not have predicted that we would be celebrating this victory today. The best principles of our democracy have won out. It's clear that the voices of the American people have been heard. I've often called net neutrality the free speech issue of our time, and I believe that exercising our free speech rights has been the key to our success and will continue to be the key to our success. Today does not mark the end of our work, the work of all net neutrality supporters to safeguard our free and open internet. Some of my Republican colleagues have decried the very idea of net neutrality. More recently, others have purported to embrace the concept, but at the same time have tried to stop the FCC from taking meaningful action. My friend, Senator John Thune, has drafted legislation that would strip the FCC of authority to regulate access to broadband internet services. Along with many of my colleagues, I've made it clear that I regard this as a non-starter. In the weeks and months ahead, I and other net neutrality supporters will need to continue to speak out to make sure everyone understands what's at stake, why we stand by the strong rules adopted by the FCC, and why we oppose efforts to strip the FCC of its authority, or to weaken net neutrality protections. This will take a lot of hard work. Some folks really just don't get it. Back in November, my friend Senator Ted Cruz referred to net neutrality as Obamacare for the internet. It was a statement that seemed to demonstrate just a basic misunderstanding of what net neutrality is and how the internet works. For that matter, tens of thousands have seen a YouTube video in which Senator Cruz attacked the FCC's efforts to protect net neutrality. I'll just pause to note that the video reached so many viewers. The reason it did was that it was uploaded to YouTube, a site that would not have flourished if it were not for net neutrality. It was because of net neutrality that YouTube, a company founded by three guys over a pizzeria in San Mateo, California, that they were able to compete against and ultimately overtake the well-funded competitor Google Video. In his video, Senator Cruz compared an old rotary phone to a modern cell phone. He claimed that the landline was an example of stagnation due to FCC regulation under Title II, while cell phone innovation was a product of non-involvement by the government. The attempted comparison fails for many reasons, not least because the telephone services on cell phones have long been subject to Title II. In fact, the FCC is taking the same kind of approach to applying Title II to broadband access services as they have taken in applying it to mobile voice services, where I think we all agree there's been robust investment and innovation under Title II. In the coming months, I expect that we're going to confront a lot of this kind of confusion and misinformation or disinformation. We're going to encounter plenty of people who oppose net neutrality because they don't understand how the internet works or don't understand the relevant legal authorities, or frankly are willing to purposely obfuscate to advance their own agendas. I hope that the American people will remain engaged on this issue, that they will remain willing to speak up, to use the internet to spread solid information, to organize support, and ultimately to counter the deep-pocketed ISPs and the politicians who may seek to undermine net neutrality. I do believe that with the same energy and determination that has gotten us this far, net neutrality supporters can make today's historic vote a lasting win for the American people. Thank you, Mr. President.